All right, guys, it's Ryan MALO here. Thanks for joining me. Another episode of Bodybuilding and Bullshit. On this week, we got Ian Smith from Attilis Gym in, how do you say the name of your city there?
Belmar.
Belmar, because I was looking at the spelling and there's that W that throws me off, right? It's in Belmar, New Jersey. So yeah, they've been dealing with quite a few things. So Ian, how's it going? Thank you for joining me on this podcast.
Absolutely, it's going well. You know, we're a little bored right now, a little battle weary, but we're no worse for the wear. Our gym is open every single day, to no less than 600, somewhere around 700 to 800 every day coming through. Happy, healthy people taking their health into their own hands and exercising their rights, you know, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's myself, I'm actually in Montreal, Quebec. So we're just actually dealing with a lot of these gym shutdowns myself. So your story really intrigued me. It's been going on for quite a long time. So I've been following a lot of this type of stuff. And you know, I actually even have notifications on your posts every time something new comes through. So I'm always laughing with some of the stuff that you post.
Try to keep it a little lighthearted and not so serious all the time. They'll really wear you down if you kind of let all the you know, because there is a lot of negativity surrounding all of it when you're fighting the government, especially sort of the government out of control. You know, it can get very draining, because you're going to take a lot of losses because you're fighting against some really powerful interests. You know, so we try to keep it as light as we can. That goes for the gym as well as, you know, social media, and we just try to have some fun with it while standing up for ourselves and kind of fighting for what we believe in.
Yeah. So for those people who maybe have been living in Iraq or in the basement with Joe Biden, they may not have quite an understanding of what's going on. So, you know, I've talked to a few people and I actually told them, like, hey, I'm going to have Ian Smith on. And they're like, I'm not sure I know this guy. I'm like, really? I mean, he's the part owner of the gym that's being fined like 15,000. Okay. As soon as you bring this up, right? It's kind of, and it's crazy because, like I said, I'm sitting here in Canada. We're not too far above you, but even across Canada, like right into like British Columbia out east, you know, there's a lot of even gym owners that reached out when they found that I was talking to you, and it's kind of, you know, like, oh man, this man's an inspiration. It's you know,
awesome to hear. What affects us affects you guys, you know, and that especially being probably our closest ally, you know, as far as things go. Politically, you know, it's what happens in America affects everybody, but especially somebody, you know, who we share the largest unprotected border in you know, in the entire world with. Yeah,
exactly. So just explain a little bit about how this all came to be. So I'm sure you beat this to death, you know, like.
Yeah, I'm good at giving the short version. Actually, today marks the 1 year anniversary from when we were told to shut down. We were told to shut down 20 minutes from now, a year ago on March 16th. The whole 14 days to flatten the curve was what they said here in the US. I'm sure there was some other BS slogan they had up in Canada or something similar to it. But the idea was we were going to shut down small businesses and the country for 14 days to stop the overflow in hospitals, because they were saying that COVID patients were overloading our healthcare system. And, you know, my business partner, Frank, and I were not very excited by the idea. You know, I've learned history, and anybody who has read a little bit of history knows that governments are always very quick to take rights and freedoms, and they're always very, very slow to give them back. So I wasn't, and I can speak for Frank on this, we weren't very excited at the idea of it. But I think like most people were this time last year, people were scared. People didn't really know what was coming. And, you know, we were being fed a lot of information that said this was the big event. This was going to be the, you know, the epidemic of a lifetime, or the pandemic of a lifetime. This was going to be the bubonic plague. I don't know. I'm sure your media up there is not much better than ours, but, you know, the videos that were coming out of China with people dropping dead in the streets, and, you know, Fauci here forecasting that 2.2 million people would be dead by summertime last year, and all these things. So, you know, we shut down. We weren't happy about it, but we said, all right, we'll do it for the greater good, because sometimes you do have to kind of just go with it. You know, even though it may be outside the norm, we said, all right, we'll do it. So anyway, we all know how that went. 14 days turned to 3 weeks, 3 turned to a month turned to 2. And very quickly for Frank and I, we never stopped working. We actually had just bought the gym 8 months before. So we weren't even a full year into business operations. So there was a lot of work for us to do anyway. We had bought a dumpster fire of a gym, and we had really turned it around in 8 months. And there was, for us, we looked at it as an opportunity to kind of catch up on some work. We were going to put some new turf in, stuff like that. But we kept our eye on what was going on, and very, very quickly, this didn't make a whole lot of sense. The public health policy that was being put on the table just didn't really add up. They were closing gyms, they were closing non-essential medical treatments or non-important medical treatments. They were closing churches, they closed schools, but they left liquor stores open, they left fast food open, dispensaries open, and big box corporations were all allowed to be open with very minimal safety measures. You're allowed to go into a Walmart from day one as long as you slap a diaper on your face and wipe the front of your cart with a Lysol wipe. All of a sudden there was no risk of infection, but you couldn't walk into a gym and sanitize your hands and spray things down and do the same. So we started doing our homework, and it became a full-time job. We researched everything about the virus, how it was spread, some of the effects, some of the cures, what was going on with the numbers. Frank is the brains of the operation. He is a numbers guy. He was watching the death numbers, the case numbers. He was studying about the PCR tests. And on day 11 of our shutdown, the United States government passed the single biggest economic stimulus bill that has ever been passed in this country, a $2.6 trillion stimulus bill with a whole bunch of spending, but that allocated $600 per week for people to stay home for 16 weeks. And to us, that was just a major red flag. Why are you rolling out a 16-week incentivized program to keep people at home and not back at work for what is supposed to be a 14-day incubation period for a virus? It didn't make a whole lot of sense. So we got sick and tired of hearing politicians tell us to be patient and that we weren't essential, and that our business was a danger to the public, but Walmart wasn't. So we decided we were going to reopen, and we were going to do it very publicly. We could have opened quietly, put some stuff over our windows and let people in the back door. And I don't knock anybody for doing that, but you shouldn't have to do that to stay in business. You shouldn't have to run a speakeasy just to make a living. So we opened and we presented a plan on social media. It was a 15-point safety protocol. We went so far above and beyond what other businesses were required to do, and even hospitals and long-term care facilities for seniors. We looked at everything, and we went so far above and beyond that it would be absurd to tell us that we couldn't be in business. And we presented that plan publicly. I went on my Instagram, and at the time I had a strictly fitness Instagram. I'm a strength coach by trade. And, I kind of announced, I said, hey guys, we're going to open because they said 2 weeks and we've given them 2 months. So we're going to open, and we're going to open safely. And we're going to show you guys that all small businesses can follow some sort of variation of the safety protocol and not lose their business and not sort of decimate the local economies, but at the same time, take people's health into consideration and make sure that we are doing everything we can to have a clean facility to protect our members from any health threats that may be present. And that kind of caught the attention of some local media sources, and we had some radio interviews, and that caught the attention of Tucker Carlson on Fox News here in New Jersey. And that was the powder keg that lit this whole thing ablaze. I basically went on a couple days before and announced on national television that we were going to defy Governor Murphy and that there was nothing he could do to stop us from opening. So long story short, we opened. We opened on May 18th, which was exactly 2 months to the day from when they told us to shut down. And we opened. There was a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 supporters in the parking lot when we opened the doors. We actually slept there overnight. And we had the media attention of every media outlet in the country. And more importantly, we had a line of our members wrapped around the building waiting to come in and work out. So we had an awesome first day. We got some citations, and that was really the first part of the escalation. Day one, we were given citations. Day two, we were given citations, and our members were given citations. One of our members was actually arrested. Day three, they brought a health department shutdown. We've gotten summons every day, so I don't have to say.
Yeah.
We've gotten 80 criminal municipal citations over the course of this whole thing. So we're getting cited every day. We're still opening. Our members are getting harassed. We're still opening. They were trying everything they could to shut us down. They tried to dissuade our members from coming. That didn't work very well because the media was playing right into that. They brought a health department shutdown on day three after our toilets mysteriously backed up. And then in the middle of the night, they basically condemned our building and said, you can't enter here. There's coronavirus dripping from the walls. So on Thursday, we didn't really know how, because we didn't set out to be criminals. We didn't set out to break the law. We set out to stand up for ourselves. So we wanted to make sure that we weren't breaking any laws by opening on Thursday. So we stayed closed. Friday, we reopened, had a great day, said, screw you to the health department. Mind you, they condemned the building essentially without ever stepping foot inside of it, without ever even calling us, without looking at our safety protocol, without talking about it, none of it. And then on Friday, we had a good day. And Friday night, in the middle of the night, they came and they physically changed the locks on our doors and locked us out of our own private establishment. That lasted about 3 weeks. We got back inside because we have a nutrition shop inside. And that is deemed essential. So we agreed to play nice. We made our stand and we said, okay, we'll turn this over to the courts, because here in America, our system is checks and balances. We have the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislative branch, and the courts are supposed to check those branches when things are sort of out of line. We had this governor who was just issuing these executive mandates, just kind of ruling by decree as if he were some sort of king or monarch, and that's not the way it works. You can't, laws have to go through the legislature. So we said, okay, we'll play nice. We won't open inside. We started taking all of our equipment out every day, somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 pounds worth of equipment out into the parking lot every day. And we were having about 300 people showing up every day to work out in the middle of June. Barbells, dumbbells, benches, free weight racks, you name it, plate loaded machines. We were bringing it all out every day. We did so for a couple of weeks, and the courts miserably failed us. We had a lawsuit in federal court, and the judge said that we did not do enough to, quote, exercise our rights. And that was it. And the case was dismissed. So we said, fuck it. We're going back inside. On July 4th, which is Independence Day here in the States, we said, what better day to get arrested on the 4th of July? Fuck it, we're back inside. We didn't get arrested, but we got held in contempt of court somewhere on the 24th, I believe. That actually came to fruition on July 24th, and they started fining us daily amounts, which eventually came to be $15,497.76 per day for every day that we were in operation in defiance of these court orders. So we were found in contempt of court, and they were coming once again to change our locks. So what Frank and I decided is that we were going to take the doors off the hinges, because if there's no doors, you can't lock us out of our business. We took the doors off the hinges, and we drove them off the premise. And we opened our gym 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to anybody who wanted to come in. Frank and I slept there. We slept in shifts in the tanning bed or in the supply closet. And we ran our gym 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We did so on and off for about 40 days, not going home except for, a day or two here and there. And eventually we got arrested. And the arrest was only basically to get us out of the building. It was just a phony arrest. Again, we haven't broken in. None of this is law. That's the most important thing with all this is we aren't breaking laws. We're defying the orders of a governor who is acting outside of his official capacity, and stepping all over the Constitution. So they basically just arrested us for some BS charge. And when we got back, the doors were boarded up. So we took a couple of days off to kind of recharge, and a couple of days later, in front of the national media again, Frank and I kicked our doors down, turned the lights back on, turned the music back on to a crowd of people, and opened our gym back up. And we have been open ever since. Our business license was revoked, and we still get fined $15,000 every day. And we are still just sort of in the middle of a very nasty, long, and drawn out legal battle. We have not charged our members since April 1st of last year. When we originally reopened, it wasn't about making money. It was about doing what was right. So we weren't interested in charging people. We were interested in keeping our business open. And then our business license was taken. So we basically run a rec center that's run off of donations. We have a nutrition shop inside, which helps pay the bills. And we run off of donations from kind people, not only locally who use the gym, but people locally and nationally. And even some donations have come internationally through our GoFundMe, which is basically our legal defense that pays for our lawyers and all of the expensive stuff that happens in court. Until one day, about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, sorry, I lose track of time. We came into the gym and Frank checked the bank account, and they had taken $173,000 from our bank account in the middle of ongoing litigation to start to collect on these numerous fines that we have. And this is in the middle of an appeals process. It's in the middle of just ongoing court battle. It's not all been settled, and they just emptied our bank account entirely. And thankfully, I put out a call to help, and we have some amazing support. We have been blessed in so many ways, even though this is the hardest thing we've ever done. And we were able to fundraise a ton of money over the course of the next week. And what we did is, instead of holding that money, we paid our bills as far forward as we possibly could. So we don't have any money, but they can't shut us down and they can't take any money. And that's just kind of where we're at now. We're open every day, no matter what. And we still run off donations and t-shirt sales, and we pay our bills ahead of time. And we're just kind of waiting to work things out in the court now.
Yeah, that's a hell of a story. There's a few things that I kind of wanted to touch on, but I didn't want to interrupt. You're on a real go. So, but even with the way they were trying to, they take away your license and stuff like that. Have they tried to stop the bills, or like say the hydro or power, water supply? Have they cut any of these things off to the building at all?
They have tried, but we pay our bills in advance. So therefore, bring that in, please. Your mom, bring her spoon. They have tried to, but that's the idea of paying our bills in advance, is that they cannot shut off our electric because it's paid in advance. They cannot tell our landlord to get us out because we paid the rent in advance. They can't shut off our water because we pay the water in advance. And that was kind of something that we picked up. It didn't happen to us, but we knew that this was a tactic that they were going to use from other businesses around the country who have stayed open as well. The crazy part about here, and I'm not sure if it's the same in Canada, but there's all these different states, 50 states, and in each state you have different governors who are playing by different rules. So here in New Jersey, you have Governor Murphy, and he used the police, he used the state police, he used the sheriffs, he used the health department against us. He tried everything he could. Whereas with other states, they're bringing in zoning officials, or so they're all playing this dirty game, but they're using different public organizations against people. So each one of us in our own state is fighting our own battle, and it's very hard. We can't do much to help each other, but all we can do is kind of learn from each other. And we saw that happen to a couple people where they shut the lights off, and we were like, nope, sorry, not us. And that's where we got the idea to just pay the bills as far in advance as we can. And any money that we get, as soon as we have enough to pay a bill, we just here. Because again, it's not about the money for us. It's about the fight. And the fight is that no government official should ever be able to walk into your life and tell you that you don't have the right to earn a living. That's I don't know about the Charter of Rights, too extensively in Canada, but in the United States, it's written very clearly in the Constitution that is not allowed under any circumstances. And what has happened is they've used the pandemic and the national emergency as a way to justify their sort of tyrannical actions.
Yeah, they're kind of jumping the gun. Here in Canada, it's the same kind of thing, right? So actually, I think in a week or two, there's a gentleman who's going through the exact same stuff as what you're going through, and he's basically gone the legal route. There's some other gym owners who have kind of, been really out there and voicing their opinions and upset. So this gentleman, his name's Barry. I'm probably going to have him on in a week or so, and I'll share you the link. Maybe you'd be interested in what's going on up here. But even myself, I used to be a gym owner as well, so I understand how hard it is. And if you just took over a gym in 8 months, Like that's a heck of a deal to try to come around, because there's not a lot of money to be made in a gym. So my other question to you is like, what are you guys doing financially to survive on a personal level?
It's certainly not easy, but we kind of make it by. We're both very fortunate that we have incredible families behind us who support us, and Frank's got a wife and 5 kids, and she has a steady job, and Frank's 51 years old. He's been working his whole life, and so he's got enough to sort of just get by.
Yeah.
And again, it's uncomfortable, but that's what they want it to be. They want it to be uncomfortable so that you give up. But that's for us, we made a deal with each other, and the relationship that Frank and I have as business partners has always been, if you say something, do it. We've known each other for a couple of years before we opened Attilas, and it was always a handshake agreement. I met Frank. Frank owned a nutrition store, still does. And he had some empty space in the back, and I was a very busy independent trainer, and I needed a home base. And we founded sort of a coexisting businesses where I was able to operate in the back of his shop based on a handshake agreement. And so it's always been, if you say something, that's it. You just do it. And we're very informal, but it's all about trusting each other. And we have an awesome working relationship where we knew that this was going to be really nasty. And we knew that we were going to be in it for the long haul, no matter what. And that's the promise we made, is that no matter how hard it gets, we will find a way to make it work, because the alternative for us was far worse. A lot of people have said, how do you guys do it? How do you stay strong, or how do you get the courage, or how do you survive? How do you make it work financially? And the reality is that this is the better option than losing everything we've ever worked for. We put everything we ever had into this business. Frank, and like I said, Frank's 51 years old, and he's worked his whole life, and this was his dream, was to open a gym. And we put an incredible amount of money to make it happen. And it's kind of an all or nothing deal, which is how a lot of entrepreneurs operate. You take the risk, and you bet on yourself really hard, and then something like this comes along. And if we would have stayed closed, we would have lost the gym a long time ago. And that would be harder to make it work than this is. You know what I mean? So we're very fortunate in that sense that we do have an incredible support system with our friends and our family, and we're able to make it work financially.
That's good. A couple other questions I had too is how are you dealing with being, obviously, you just started out, like you said, as a trainer, and then you owned a gym. Your following, I'm sure, has like skyrocketed since like all this kind of stuff, right? I was looking at your Instagram, and you got like, I don't even know how many thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, right? So you attend all these events. How are you handling the instant stardom, right? And you become a public eye, you become either a target or you become like a role model. So you're on kind of both ends of this type of stuff, right? So people are either watching you and criticizing you hard, or they're like, man, awesome job, keep going. So how are you dealing with this stardom?
It's definitely, it has taken some getting used to, but it's something that it can be a very powerful tool, but it can also be something that's very stressful and consuming, and can kind of it can rile you up and sort of blow you off path, because all of a sudden you go just from being just another gym owner or just another person, to somebody that millions of people know who you are. And that's as cool as that is. It's also, it just comes with it's got a lot of good and bad. At first, the criticism was hard to deal with, because I think by nature people care what other people think about them. But you have to learn to realize that not everybody's opinion matters. And I've had some help along the way from a lot of really, really good people who I didn't even really know before. And one of those is Andy Frisella of First Form. He reached out to me after one of the Tucker Carlson appearances, and we kind of got to chatting, and we become very close. And that's somebody that's been in the public eye for a very long time, and he helped me sort of learn to navigate that, where you have to realize that your life changes, and that you lose a lot of privacy. You gain a lot from it as well. You gain networking capabilities that just aren't available to you, when people don't know who you are. So you have to walk this fine line, where you learn to balance it and not be consumed by it. And that means by the good too. You can't dedicate your whole life to pleasing people who like you either. And you can't dedicate your whole life to trying to convince people who don't like you that you're doing the right thing. So you learn to ignore the criticism, especially if you know that what you're doing is right. When I lay my head down at night, and when Frank lays his head down at night, I have no problems going to sleep. If we were doing something that we didn't believe in, I wouldn't feel that way. But Frank and I did this because we truly believe in the American system, and we believe in the American way of life, and we love our country, and we love being Americans, and being American means that you have freedoms, and sometimes they get tested. And I think this is one of those scenarios where people are trying to change the world, for better or for worse, and you kind of have to stand your ground, and stick to what you believe in. And our arguments are based on the Constitution of the United States. We're not trying to change things. We're trying to keep things the way that they are, and that's preserving our fundamental rights as natural born citizens of the United States of America. The right to earn a living, the right to go where you want, and there's a ton of them, but the right to earn a living, the right to not be told that you have to submit to some sort of medical treatment that you don't consent to, and many more. So we believe in it. So it's easy to not worry about the critics, because we know that what we're doing is pure of heart, and we know that what we're doing is the right thing. Now, if we were doing something else, and we had something to hide, I think that criticism would be a lot more overwhelming. But as you go through this, you learn to kind of laugh at it. Like every once in a while, I'll give one person a day a little bit of airtime. You know what I mean? Somebody who sends me a nasty message, I'll browse through, and sometimes while I'm taking my morning shit or whatever, I'll respond to somebody, just out of just entertainment purposes. To keep, again, like I said, keeping it light, keeping it not so serious all the time. I'll fuck with somebody, and I'll let them get all riled up, and then I'll just, as they type, when they've been typing for 5 minutes, and this really long paragraph is coming, you just block them real quick, so they've wasted their 10 minutes on you for the day. But the awesome part is kind of what you said, where you said, if God grants you with a stage, then you have to do something with it. And that's I think the most difficult part, is figuring out, okay, everybody's listening to me. Now, what do I say? You know what I mean? How do I do the most good with what I've been blessed with? You know what I mean? And that's where our fight has evolved, because originally it was just about staying open, and it's evolved into the things much more than that. I spoke at a number of small business, anti-lockdown sort of things throughout the country. I've tried my best to assist others in learning how to open, or getting them the courage and resources they need to open. So it's just about figuring out, how to make the best of what you've been given.
Do you find that big tech kind of gets involved at all in what you're trying to do? Because there's a lot, right? You hear how Donald Trump was banned from Twitter. Have they done anything like this to you? So there's actually a follow-up question, because I'm going to ask you about this as well. So I want to see if they've done it to you. But do you feel that, with the big tech, is it the fact that they're trying harder now to silence us? Or is it more the fact that we have more outlets to actually be vocal? Because if this would have happened, say, around the World War II ages and stuff like this, number one, I don't think that the men probably would have let this happen. I feel that there's a real big movement to demasculate the men.
Yes, absolutely. I could not agree more with that statement right there.
So yeah, like I find now we have a lot of outlets and everybody's like streaming. Like even what I'm doing right now, I looked at someone's post and a guy was saying guys in the year 2020 starting podcasts is like girls starting OnlyFans. You know, like I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it's so true. Like everyone's trying to get on here and have their 2 cents, but I just want to know your input. Do you feel that big tech is a big part of the outlet? Because it almost, if you just would have opened your gym and stayed, and if there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter and everybody talking about this kind of stuff, you probably could have skirted right underneath the radar and nobody really would have known. And maybe the government would have came and talked to you privately, and then things kind of would have been dealt with in a different way, right?
Yeah, I mean the internet has always been a double-edged sword for everybody, including technology and government. But it's always been this wild west of sort of information where, like you said, back 60, 70 years ago, you wouldn't be able to network and have a voice in the way that you would as a regular person. Like you do today. Like anybody can go viral at any point. Like there's absolutely nothing special about me. How I wound up with 250,000 people following me is a combination of luck and being and saying the right things at the right times and kind of just getting the exposure. There's nothing different about me to the next man who's hosting a podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a double-edged sword, because without media, specifically social media, nobody would have known we were doing any of this. And it would have turned out very differently. Chances are we would have gotten squashed very quickly. When nobody's watching and nobody knows what's happening, government can act with much more of a heavy hand than they can if the whole world is watching. And that was our strategy from the beginning. As soon as I went on Tucker Carlson for the first time, I realized that we had just been given something, because it was the right time for the story. I think everybody had reached the point where the lockdowns were just starting to really make people question if this was the right thing to do, and people were getting cabin fever, and we were 4 times over the amount of time that they asked for, and so I realized that very early on, and we've been able to weaponize social media and the media to our benefit in a way that it kind of shields us. Like, we knew opening up that we were going to get punched in the face. Like, we absolutely knew it. There was no question that we knew that government wasn't just going to be like, leave those guys alone. They're fine. Like, we understood that this was going to be a 12-round fight and that we were going to get our asses kicked along the way. But it doesn't mean anything if nobody knows about it. So we very quickly played into the media, and I did as many interviews and podcasts and speaking engagements as possible, because every time you tell the story, you bring more awareness to the issue. And it's just been a huge benefit to us. We exist off of essentially t-shirt sales and donations, and none of that would be possible without social media and big tech. That being said, there is a very, very bad element of that, where they can sign you like this, and you can lose all of that in a heartbeat, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. I was actually shadow banned for a while, and thankfully I guess I'm no longer on the naughty list. But I think my engagement at one point, it dropped, I think 95%. Well, it was ridiculous. It was as if they gagged. And this is during important times when, like, we needed help, and we needed to get the message out, and we needed media to pick up on the story, and they just kind of turn you off. They don't delete your account. They don't. They can do that too if they want, because almost anything can be a violation of their terms of service if they want it to be. And the reality is that you're playing ball on their field. That's home court advantage. They can do what they want, and unfortunately, there's nothing set up in pretty much any government around the country that prevents them from doing that, even though it is a major violation of free speech. But the laws haven't quite caught up to that yet. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, because as much as that played to our benefit, we came to rely on it. And then when it wasn't there, it made it very difficult for us to continue the fight, because people forget about things very quickly. And if you're not constantly sort of popping up on their feed, people have busy lives, and everybody has their own shit to worry about. People are going to work, or they got kids that are stuck at home because of quarantine or whatever. And there's a million things going on. And if your story isn't constantly sort of popping up for them, a week goes by and they forget about the struggle. So that was not a super fun time during that couple months that we were shadow bans. But you continue the fight no matter what.
Yeah, when I touched on the whole demasculating of the masses here, your eyes lit up. It looked like you kind of wanted to talk about something like that. What's your opinion on this? Because it seems like you agreed pretty strongly on that. So I came to realize very quickly during this, actually, that I was going to these speaking engagements, and I was in Trenton, which is the capital of New Jersey, and going there and speaking and advocating. And even people who came to our parking lot, like when we opened, it was weird how many more women were there than men, fighting for their rights. And it just struck me as kind of weird. And I'm thinking, where are all the men at? Like, this is when you're talking about society, whether it's, modern society, or whether you're, rolling the clock back to the grasslands of Europe or whatever, in tribes, man's primary role as a man, your primary role is to be able to protect what you have. And that includes your material possessions, but also sort of your loved ones and your life. That's role number one of being a man, is being a protector. And they've made it so that men aren't protecting anymore. You have this major shift in the idea of masculinity, where over the course of 60, 70 years, the fundamental traits of masculinity have been sort of made to be, quote, toxic, or are negative traits, right? So men by nature are aggressive. That is in our blood. You can call it what you want. We have testosterone, just coursing through us. It makes us aggressive. We humans are not the only ones who do it. All males of all animal species are aggressive. All males of all animal species are protectors. You don't need to be a PhD in biology to understand that. It's looking at the world. And I'm not a particularly smart man, but that's a pretty just easy observation, I think, for anybody to make. So we're aggressive by nature, and what do you see? You see nothing but watering down of that aggressiveness. Boys in elementary school are sort of scolded for being hyperactive and for playing on the playground, and everything's no competition. Again, men are aggressive. What comes with aggression? Competition. What's the best way to become a better, stronger version of yourself? To compete. You as a bodybuilder, and then everybody watching the show, you guys all understand that. You know what I mean? How do you become better at what you love? You step in the ring, or you step on a stage, or you step in the court, and you play, and you work your way to the top. You learn, you take your losses, and you learn to beat the guy in front of you or beat the girl in front of you. That's all of these things are being scaled back and pushed as like bad things. We've got this everybody gets a trophy mentality. We've got this don't be aggressive. Boys shouldn't fight. Like, boys should fight. We grew up fighting. That when we were done our chores at the end of the day, me and my neighbors and my cousins, we would go out and we would whoop each other's asses all over the backyard. We would have backyard friggin' wrestling. WWE. And,
exactly.
Table match.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's and
Yeah.
it's good for you. It's what men are supposed to do. And that's not saying that men are supposed to be violent, but men are supposed to understand violence, because there will come a time in every man's life where he will be tested and he may have to use violence to defend the things that he loves. That might be your family, that might be your country, that might be your way of life, whatever it is. But violence is always the last resort. But men today are so unfamiliar with violence. The only sort of violence that we understand is simulated violence,
Yeah,
video games.
TV and stuff like this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's suppressing who we are. It's this whole agenda to sort of water down men. And you could go on and on and on and on, and I could ramble about this for a while. But the question is always like, I get people to say like, oh, well, why would they want to do that? Very simple. If men are the protectors and you are trying to rule over things, or you are trying to sort of power grab, who's going to stand in the way? Men who are capable of and don't want to use violence, but know how to if they need to. So they will stand up for themselves and their rights. They will stand up for their families and their friends and their loved ones, and they will provide resistance. And if you're trying to get your way, what's the easiest way to do it? Is to make men very docile, very complacent, very lazy, very sluggish, and very feminine. And you see that in pop culture today. There's this effeminate movement that's kind of going all through the entertainment industry and Hollywood and all this stuff. And you're teaching boys to do things that boys don't normally want to do. And you're pushing this like gender fluidity sort of nonsense to young children. And it's just all it does is it creates a weak generation of people who can't stand up for themselves. So when government comes in and puts the boot on the neck, there's no resistance to it.
Yeah, everybody is offended, right? Everyone's like, oh, that offends me, so it's got to stop. And I'm like, oh, well, that's crazy. Everybody gets a participation trophy. Everybody is a winner. Everybody is on the same playing field. So it's kind of taken away, I guess, the ability to realize like, yeah, you're going to know that you're good. But if everybody's kind of on the same level as you, it almost takes away that feeling of like, hey, I'm good. But at the same time, we're not getting that same acceptance in the academic field, right? An A is still an A B is still a B. Not everybody is getting an A. Not everybody is, getting the same grade. Not everybody is getting the same jobs, right? So why should everybody get the same athletic recognition as the other person? But I agree.
It's a segue to a weak society. I mean, that's how you usher in a weak society, is that you take away their competitive elements. There's this movement going on to make everything equal everywhere. And it's
even the bathrooms, eh?
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's everywhere. Yeah, and there's a difference between equality and equity. Equality is something that we should strive for. There should be as level of a playing field as possible. Everybody should sort of have the opportunity to climb the social ladder, to make whatever they want out of their lives and to do whatever they want to do, so long as they're willing to work hard, they're willing to make the right choices, they're willing to stay dedicated when things get tough. You should be, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, who your parents are, who you love, whatever, you should be able to climb that ladder. That's equality. But what we're pushing for is equity, which is equal outcome no matter what. And that makes for lazy, stupid people, because it decentivizes hard work. Going again, because we're on a bodybuilding podcast. If you spend your whole off season, just crushing your workouts, and for the next 16 or 12 weeks, you are staying focused and you're doing your 2-a-days and you're on point with your diet and you're torturing yourself to make yourself the best you could possibly be, and you get on stage and get a fucking participation trophy, how hard is that going to work? How hard are you going to work? You're not going to be a great bodybuilder because everybody got a fucking participation trophy. So it decentivizes this idea of like rugged individualism and hard work, which is what drives people to be better. It's if there's no reward for working hard, why are you going to work hard?
Exactly. Yeah, like these stimulus checks and stuff up here, we get the same thing. So we're getting 900. I think we get like $900 every 2 weeks or something like this. But it actually, for most people, that's more money than they were getting working. So a
Yes,
lot of these, a lot of
exactly
these
the same
business,
thing here.
yeah. So these businesses are trying to hire, and everyone's like, "Nah, I'm just going to stay home. I'd rather stay home and then work a side job or some baloney." And then they were still getting their money and that kind of stuff. So it's
Yeah, and that destroys small businesses.
especially when now you guys, I think, is it the entire country that raised their minimum wage or just certain
They're
states?
they're trying to. They're trying to, and that's another thing. And all this kind of ties in to this. They're trying to collapse the middle class. They're at least from my perspective, there's no other way to look at it. They want government expanded to the point that it's so big that everybody's getting a government paycheck in some way. So what does that do? It makes everybody dependent upon the government, and it guarantees a future that these people are needed forever. When in reality, what we need is like limited government. I don't want a stimulus check. I don't want you to give me any money. I just want to be able to go to work. That's it. I want my employees to want to come to work and want to work hard, not to have to struggle to hire people because everybody else is getting paid to sit at home. So it's making this, they're creating this very hostile environment for the middle class to thrive, whether that means you're a small business owner or whether that means you're just somebody in the middle class with a career. They're making it very hard to thrive in the middle class, and what makes people free is the middle class. You have your sort of ultra rich elite. You'll always have that upper echelon of society, your powerful people, your people who have made it to the top, your Jeff Bezos, all these people. And you'll always have your poor. But when you have a middle class, what that allows for is that social mobility. No matter who you are, in America at least, no matter who you are, if you do certain things, your life will end up better than it started. If you work hard, doesn't matter if you're born in the inner cities, doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, it doesn't matter any of that stuff. If you're a man or a woman, if you work hard, if you stay focused, if you make good choices and surround yourself with good people, you're going to wind up better than where you started. But they're just kneecapping the middle class. And if you kneecap the middle class and you destroy small businesses, the backbone of the American economy is small business. And what does that allow people to do? It allows them to make their own choices and be in charge of their own finances. They make their own money. They're not dependent upon everybody. And if you kneecap that and take that out, there's no way to climb from poor to wealthy. It's just you have a two-tiered society where you have the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, it ends up being like that movie In Time, right? Where with Justin Timberlake, you ever see it? Where they're trying to skip over to the next level, but it's all being barricaded, and there's legit no way to get through. Because in the movie, these guys are actually working to put time on their life that maybe prolongs it one day. Meanwhile, these guys have millions of time, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we're running close to your time limit. I don't know if you still have, but I had a couple questions because I posted on Instagram. So some people were just shooting out some stuff. So definitely all the girls want to know: are you single or taken?
I am taken. Very happily taken.
Okay. So there you go. So that was actually the biggest question. There's a lot. So I got another one here. Favorite sports team?
My favorite sports team is the Philadelphia Eagles. Football team down here in Philadelphia. We live right outside of we live in New Jersey, but we're right outside of major city Philadelphia. So that's my sports team. Although I have not watched any sports this year at all.
Yeah, me, I refuse to watch it with all these paper cutouts of like people in the audience.
It's just it's weird. It's very
even basketball looks like you're playing like NBA Jam. Like there's nobody.
It's funny. I had that same conversation. I said if I wanted to watch a virtual crowd, I would play Madden, and it's just I don't want to participate in any of the COVID madness where you're adapting to this new norm and all this nonsense. as much as I love watching football on Sundays, it's a ritual we all have, and we spend our Sundays drinking beers with our friends, but the bars are closed, and I'm not going to sit at home and watch a virtual stadium. It's just not my idea of a good time.
Yeah, I kind of have that view, like if we all got to stay home and take it up the ass and not make money, maybe some of these superstars and some of these movie stars, they need to start feeling that pinch just the same. And
absolutely.
If people would stop going to like the old Wallies and stuff, maybe the Waltons would change their tune and be like, oh shit, but they didn't even have to suffer. Our last shutdown, they actually had to shut down all non-essential items. So they were only allowed to sell certain things, but they had free reign. And I use them as a big example, right? Because you always go to like Walmart and social distance, but at the gym or anywhere else you go, you can legit tell the government 100% who is in at what time and what their phone number is, what their name is. And I always challenge them, like, name me one person who just walked into Walmart today. Name me one person who was at that DVD cart for $5 and everyone's rumbling through. I'm like, where did anybody even clean any of this shit? And I'm like, nobody cares. So, anyways, we'll get back to this. Well, another question I got for you, favorite car. Now people are just kind of diving into who you are, right? So
my favorite car is the truck that I currently own. It is a 1997 Ford F-250.
Okay.
It is almost an antique. It's 24 years old. And it's they no longer make the engine. It's the engine that it's this there's a cult-like following for a 7.3 liter diesel engine in the Ford F-250, and the truck falls apart around the engine. The engine just refuses to die. It is an expensive beast, but it is a beast nonetheless.
Nice. Okay. And since you're probably a role model for a lot, especially gym owners and stuff, people are asking, who's your role model? Who are you looking up to? Who are you getting your advices from?
A lot of my motivation comes from the teachings of a lot of different just men that I respect. Mm-hmm. One of them, I'm sure you'll know the name, is actually Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is somebody who advocates for rugged individualism and self-responsibility. And I think that that's something that's just missing today. There's this victim culture that we have where nothing is ever your fault, and there's always somebody else to blame for your issues. And I really subscribe to a lot of stuff from him and from like-minded people who promote strength, especially in men, to sort of just be better and to be able to persevere no matter what happens to you. Andy at First Form is another. He's become like a mentor to me. Certainly a business mentor. This is somebody who's come from nothing and built himself a little bit of an empire through just good values, hard work, determination, believing in what you're doing. But Jordan Peterson has definitely had a huge impact on me. Another is one of my favorite authors. His name is Jack Donovan. For all the men watching this podcast, if you want a good read, pick up Jack Donovan's book. He's got several, but start with what's called The Way of Men. Phenomenal journey into masculinity.
Cool. And the last question before I head you out, one guy wanted to know, how long did it take you to grow the old beard?
This is going on 3 years this summer. I think June will make 3 years. Last time I had it cut, it was probably, I still had it, but it was like probably like that. It's a pain in the ass to grow, but you just got to find yourself a good barber. It's not about what you put in the beard. It's not about it. You got to find a good barber who knows how to shape a beard, because if not, you look like a streetwalker.
Like me, I was actually supposed to go to the barber before I came on this thing, but I wasn't able to get in time. So, but this is my COVID beard. This is actually how long it took me, a year. So I started on COVID.
Yeah, that's not bad for a year.
Yeah, it's okay. I've cut it down a little bit. I've shaved it and stuff. Now the gray is coming in really bad. So It's what it is. But anyways, before I let you go, I'm just going to let you end on your own note. So if there's anything that you want to say, any closing statement, or however you want to end it, we can let you finish it off.
We'll close on this note with regard, because what this whole thing was for me, and for Frank and for Tillis, and what we stand for, was about standing up for your rights. And I know that a lot of people are very unhappy with the way things are going. And I think that far too many people are just waiting for things to get better. But the reality is that you have to come to terms with the fact that you are in control of your destiny. So whether you're a small business owner who's forced closed, or you're a parent who is frustrated because your children aren't in school, or whatever it is, we're all dealing with some nonsense through this sort of COVID shutdown. It's important you come to terms with the fact that perhaps these politicians do not have your best interest in mind, and that this will not go away until you start standing up for yourself. And it doesn't have to be a big production like we have down here at Antilles. It doesn't need national media attention. It doesn't need $15,000 a day fines. It doesn't need all of that. It starts with something small. So stand up for what you believe in. If you're walking around wearing a mask and you hate it, take it off. If your kids are not in school and you're frustrated about it, protest about it. Get involved. Do something, because the reality is that this won't go away, and we won't see what used to be our lives until we start making bold actions. And know that you are more powerful as an individual than you could ever imagine. If you would have asked me a year ago today, if I would ever think that so many people would put their faith in me, would support something I was doing, would believe in me, would be inspired by me in the way that they are today, I would have laughed. Because again, there's nothing inherently special about me. I'm no better than the next man. But the fact is that we did something bold, and we did something courageous, and we stood up for ourselves, and it paid off. Even through all of the madness and all of the chaos and all of the scary things that go on with all of it, this has paid off for us, because we will keep our business and we will stay afloat, and we will make it through this. And on the other side, there's a beautiful world waiting for you.
Great. Awesome. Well, we would like to, hopefully we can give you some support up here in Canada. So what I'm going to do at the end of when I put this up on YouTube and stuff, I'll attach your GoFundMe for donations and the link to your website, so people can support with the t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. And thank you so much for coming on here. You've been a true inspiration and continue to inspire all these gym owners and us. We're just trying to survive, and you're really making us go ahead. So thank you again, and take care. And yeah, I'll send you this link once we're up and live, and hopefully everything turns out good.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. You guys have a good night.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.